morning, happy Friday, and welcome back to the NOFO Live Show, where I, Sunita, along with my co-host Tracy, from Miss Tracy Kessler, we hop on every Friday and talk about everything North Fork. And it's become kind of a tradition now while I wait for Tracy and our guest to join for me to offer the weather report. And I can't even tell you what is going on because either I have an iPhone, either the iPhone weather app is gone bonkers because every day, if you look for the rest of the week, it gives me a different weather. So up until yesterday, it was supposed to only rain on Saturday and the rest of the week was great. Now, all day yesterday, not a single drop fell. So I'm pretty positive that when I look later in the day, it's going to have a whole other weather pattern. So guess what? I have no idea what it's going to happen. Enjoy the outdoors. I think it's beautiful. It's officially good morning.
Good morning.
Are you enjoying the official start of summer?
I mean, I wish the official start of summer was a little warmer, but yes.
I mean, have you looked at the iPhone app lately? The weather every day says something different.
I don't even look at the app because it's just like, it
Good
doesn't
morning,
even say.
Tilly.
Can you say hi? Can you say hi to everybody?
We got a smile. This is such a treat to have her on this morning.
Well, we'll see how long there goes my coffee off the side of the table. Okay.
I'm totally fine if she runs the show today. I stayed out too late last night. So, so if Tilly wants to run the show, I'm good with that. Good morning, Shelby.
Hi,
Good
Shelby.
morning. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me on.
Is it just
so fun?
Is it just me that thinks this weather keeps changing its mind of what it's going to be?
No, you're exactly right.
Well,
Wasn't it supposed to rain yesterday all day?
Yes, and the day before. So I'm glad that at least it didn't rain because I was able to sit out here in a sweatshirt and read my book at least. So,
but how am I supposed to know when it's not going to rain? Because there's a parade this weekend. So how do we know?
I don't know.
All right, let's jump into today's conversation.
So, hi, Shelby. How are you? We're glad to have you on.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Shelby is from Suhru Wines, and I would love for you to jump in, tell us the history of the winery, the history of the name, because that one I always think is so interesting, and tell us what you guys are up to these days.
Absolutely. So I am the general manager for Suhru Wines, which is a small family-owned boutique winery in Cutchogue. We were started in 2008 by my mother, whose name is Susan, which is where the Sue in Suhru comes from. And then my father is our winemaker. His name is Russell. He's the Rue. And our last name is Hearn. So it's a combination of their two first names, Susan and Russell, and our last name, Hearn, all smushed together. And we have been making wine under the Suhru label since 2008, but my dad has been a winemaker on the North Fork since 1990. So we've got a really nice long history of winemaking in the family. And then at Suhru, we're really specializing in all crisp, bright, dry, stainless steel fermented whites and all medium bodied soft tannin reds. So very food friendly, easy drinking, high quality wines you can enjoy on a Tuesday or a special occasion.
When you say stainless steel fermented, like what is that? How does that differentiate from other people?
Absolutely. So something like a Chardonnay, for example, is typically going to be barrel aged. It's going to go through secondary malolactic fermentation, which is going to give it all of that nice buttery characteristic, a little bit softer flavors. So by focusing on stainless steel fermented whites like we do, we're really focusing on higher acid, brighter acidity, really looking for that crisp, bright, refreshing flavor. Not to say that you can't get that in an oak aged and fermented white. You absolutely can, but it's just a different style of winemaking that we're focused on.
Okay, I want to jump back to your dad for a second, because I think and I think you said it or I've heard it, that if you've had any wine on the North Fork, you've probably had wine that your dad has made. So I want to just spend a minute talking about the long history he's had about winemaking now that we've been growing grapes and making wine here for 50 years. This is the
Yeah.
Long Island Wine Council's Wine Country's 50th year celebration, correct?
Yes, it is. It is. And we have a lot of great events planned. So if anyone's interested, definitely check out liwines.com. We've got a great event in New York City happening next week. And then a grand celebration in August planned for August 19th.
That's at Peconic Bay Vineyards?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It
Great.
is. And the
So
early bird tickets for that actually just went on sale. So good time to check that out if you're interested in that event.
So how long has your dad been making wine?
Sure. So he's been working as a winemaker on Long Island since 1990, but kind of going backwards from that. Before that, he originally is from Perth, Western Australia. So started his winemaking career there, worked for a couple of wineries in the Margaret River region of WA, and then met my mother. They were actually, fun story, they were both backpacking in New Zealand and met in a youth hostel. And
I love that.
A week together traveling, and decided this is something important. So my dad had to go back to Australia for a harvest. My mom had travel plans that were supposed to be going, leaving that part of the world and heading back towards the US, changed her whole plans, extended her trip for, I think, 6 months, and made her way back to Western Australia after harvest. And the rest is history. But
here they are so many years later. Their name is branded together, as under one brand. That is what a beautiful story.
Yeah. So he had worked in Australia, he'd worked in New Zealand, he worked in France. So had done quite a bit of winemaking across the country. And then after he met my mom, moved to the US, and originally was working as a winemaker in Massachusetts, where she's from. And then they moved to Virginia, and he was the head winemaker for a winery down there for a couple of years before deciding to come to Long Island. Both of those vineyards that he had been working at, or wineries he was working at, they were purchasing fruit from New York State and from Long Island. So he decided, why not
go to ground zero where it is? Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So when they first moved here, he worked for Pellegrini. He was the winemaker and general manager for Pellegrini for a number of years, from 1990 when they opened, and then he stepped down as general manager in 2000 and stayed on as their winemaker until 2012. And then in 2000 opened Premium Wine Group, which is the first custom production winery on the East Coast, which is located in Mattatuck.
Riverhead, or is that Mattatuck?
It's Mattatuck.
Mattatuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which is where we make all of our wine. So when he opened, him along with two partners, when they opened that space, it was the first custom production winery on the East Coast, and really allowed smaller winery producers like ourselves to really get into the industry and start making wine at a smaller scale, and allowed us to be able to grow over time. So it's a really, really great thing for the region. The number of wineries out here close to doubled in the first 10 years that they were open. And Premium Wine Group now makes wine for a number of local producers, as well as wineries across the state, the country, and a couple internationally. So there's a lot of wine happening.
So when we're sipping a taste of Suhru Wines, we are really getting the benefit of the experience and the varied experience that you've just described about not just the grapes and in Australia, but the other regions, and all the lessons that he sort of picked up along the way. I guess we're enjoying the benefits of that today.
Exactly. Very, local product, but global experience coming into it. So we really have the best of both worlds there, in my opinion.
Tell us about your tasting room, because it's a little different than some of the other wineries on the island.
Yes, so we are a standalone tasting room. We are located on the main road in Cutchogue, right across from Wickham's. We are not on our vineyard, so it's a little bit of a different model, but I think it gives a very different experience. So we've really focused with our space on creating a very warm, welcoming, homey experience. So you walk into the interior and we have it decorated very similarly to the way that I have my house decorated, the way that my parents have their
It's
house
definitely
decorated.
cozy. It's definitely cozy.
Yes.
We really wanted it to feel like kind of you're sitting in our kitchen, living room space. We can really talk to you. We can really, dive into the wines, relax, enjoy. And then we have a outdoor area in the back, which we refer to as our wine garden. So it is, we have lots of flowers in bloom at the moment. The daylilies are just starting to pop, which is lovely, but we've got a really nice, we've got picnic tables with umbrellas, we've got Adirondack chairs. So just a nice, really relaxed, easy environment to enjoy some wine in.
And you host a lot of events there.
We do. We have some fun.
Well, Tracy
so we do.
and I have been to some. That's how
Yes.
we know.
Yes.
We went
Yes.
to what
Been
did
to
we go
several.
to? The succulent class? Alyssa,
We went to the succulent class. I hosted a blanket class there, and we went to the web event.
Oh yes, that
Yeah.
too. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I've been there several times. I've started my
Yeah.
own platform. Yes. Well, could you also, like you said, it's a cozy kitchen, living room table. You have like a large table in the middle. Is it one large table, or was it just put together for events? Because
it's put together for events. So we
Okay.
have a number of smaller tables that can be put together for larger groups, but it gives us a little bit of flexibility to do more of, a little bit more flexibility in the space. So we do a number of one-off private events, and we have a number of recurring events. Every week we do happy hour on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 6, from Memorial Day through Columbus Day. We do fireside Fridays. So if the weather holds today, we will be doing that. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
What's Fireside Fridays? What can people expect?
So we have a couple of fire pits in the backyard that get lit at 4 p.m. They're all smokeless fire pits, which is great.
Yeah.
Smell lovely, but no smoke. So we have those going, and then we do a custom Merlot infused dark chocolate s'more that we have available.
Ooh.
So you can roast your own s'more, pair it with a glass of wine, and we stay open till 7 o'clock on Fridays, and that is through Columbus Day. And then we also, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we partner with Bronze Seafood, and we do a lobster roll slider special. So we do for $30, you get a Bronze Seafood lobster rolled slider on a toasted slider bun with North Fork potato chips and your choice of a white or rosé glass. So we have that available. So it's a really nice way to make a Friday night. Come have a lobster roll, a glass of wine, sit by the fire, and have some s'mores.
Sounds great.
Bad day.
I think we can't stress this enough week after week of how special it is on the North Fork. And not that we take it for granted, but it's so commonplace. All the collaborations that happen between the local businesses. It's so natural to us that, of course, Bronze Seafood is nearby. So you would partner with them for the food. And of course, Alyssa does succulent planters, and it's a great activity to hang out and do while you're sipping some wine. But I think it does bear that we should take pause and recognize that it's not commonplace necessarily every place else. And that is something unique and special about the North Fork, even the Long Island wine country. And the fact that so many different vineyards are collaborating with each other, I love it.
Yes, it really does. I think in a lot of ways, it keeps it fun, it keeps it interesting, but for people coming to visit, but it's really nice for us to be able to, partner with our friend down the street and do an event together, which helps both of our businesses, but is also just a really enjoyable way to operate.
Part of life. It's part of the community life here. Fun is one aspect, but it's just what we do. That's just how it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that, you guys have been really good about sponsoring different events and sort of supporting community efforts and are very much involved in the community as a whole, which is noticeable.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
try.
Let's jump back to the wines. Do you do, are you open all year? Is the tasting room open all year? And tell me what different wine options somebody would have if they come in. Like, do you do flights? Do you do by the glass?
Absolutely. The short answer is yes. So we do tasting flights, we do glasses, we do bottles on site, bottles to go. We have a selection of small bites. So we do a couple of local cheese boards. We do a couple of dips, a couple other snacky options. And then we're open year round. So we are closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, but we're open 5 days a week year round. We do close, for the Christmas holiday, but, and if any major holidays fall on the days that we're open, but we are open year round, which is great. We haven't always been open. We historically were closing for the month of January, but we've been seeing people really want to come and visit us.
And a lot of people live here now.
Do that. A lot of businesses used to do that, and now the North Fork is very different in winter than it used to be.
It is, which is wonderful because it's allowed us to bring on some more full-time staff, so we can stay open through the year. So it's really nice. Being a family business, in the past we had taken that Christmas through the end of January off, more so that we as a family could spend some time together and relax and recharge a little bit. And we're a skiing family, so we wanted to go skiing, but now I've got a really great team in place, several of whom are year round, so it gives me a little bit more of the flexibility to stay open, offer that same experience year round, but also still give me a chance to get away a little bit when needed, and my whole staff too when they need as well.
Speaking of you, so we talked about your mom and your dad. What is your role at the winery?
Sure. I am our general manager, so I do, as everyone on the North Fork does, and everyone in a small business does, I wear a lot of hats.
Everything.
Yes. But I do most of, I'm very focused on our guest experience, on everything that happens through the tasting room, as well as, really keeping everything moving. So any events, any emails, any social media, all the logistics of the day-to-day, all of that I take care of, which is a lot of fun.
So a lot of businesses are family owned, but your business sounds like it's family owned and operated because everybody's hands on deck, right?
Yes.
Dad's making the wine, and your mom, I've seen her in the tasting room a few times, so she's part of the tasting room experience as well.
Yes, and even more so than that. So my dad's obviously our winemaker. My mom owns the business, does a lot of the behind the scenes back end operations as well as wholesale, and is in the tasting room. I'm obviously general manager, so I do a little bit of everything. But my husband is our assistant winemaker, so he works in the winery with my father. And my sister also works in the winery. She is one of the cellar hands, so we are a full family business. Everyone is in this industry, which is it was really nice. It wasn't planned that way. All of us everyone other than my dad had a career outside of this industry first, but the wine industry is a really hard one to stay away from if you have the option to work in it. It's
especially here where the opportunities exist. Yes, but that must make some very interesting family dinners when you guys all work together and now you're trying to unwind together.
Yes, it's really funny. It used to be, in the beginning, it was a little bit harder because, we were working all the time, we were together all the time, but now as the business has continued to grow and we've all really settled in nicely to our roles, what I think is, maybe more unique, to having talked to a number of other small business owners out here, is we all have very distinct roles and very distinct expertise. And not to say that we don't, butt heads and disagree at times, but we all have a very strong respect for each other's knowledge and expertise in our area. So very rarely do we disagree. And the times that we do, it actually has been a very big positive.
So Larry from 1760 Farmstead was on once, and him and his wife are partners in the business as well. I'm not sure who owns it, but he was saying similarly, like, how does it work for 30 something years? And the phrase he used is, we stay in our lane.
Yeah.
What she handles, she stays in her lane. He was joking that on one of the desks, they actually have little cones to remind, each other or whoever, like, stay in your lane, because that's what it takes. And that's a valuable, not secret, but valuable advice you can give to somebody that's running a family business, is figure out your lane and stay in it so everybody can keep doing what they need to do.
Absolutely. Especially because then you're not duplicating work, because that's there's so many things to do every day in a small business that you really do need to divide and conquer to a degree. There are things that obviously we all need to get together and discuss. We have a lot of fun every time we need to finalize a blend, sit around and have a very long tasting lunch or a tasting dinner where we'll taste 10 different wines and talk about them. But very rarely do we kind of not see eye to eye on things. And the times that we haven't, it has been actually a very strong positive, to the point where we joke now that maybe we need to disagree a little bit more.
Well, and you said your mom owns the business, so in the end, I mean, I guess she makes the call.
Well, I think she would be the first one to say she owns the business, but I'm the boss.
Oh, I was gonna say your dad, because he's in charge of the wine, so he probably has the last say. But that's good to know. You're the boss. I love it.
I think we need to be there at a family dinner, Tracy, to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm gonna while I have 5 minutes of no sound. Hold on, 30 seconds of no sound. I'm gonna kick us off to that. We usually end the show, and I get stabbed in the eye with a fork. Yeah, as I said before, you guys are really a big part of the community. So hold on. It's okay. We're a toddler. It's fine. Everything's fine. If you were going to take us out to lunch or dinner on the North Fork, where would you take us? Here, baby.
I would say two of my go-tos are definitely Loveland Kitchen for lunch. I can be found there pretty regularly. And then Barra Food House is also one of my favorites. I live in Riverhead, so it's a really nice stop when I'm coming, back from work at the end of the day, coming from Cutchogue. It's a really great stop. I love the food there. Is delicious. I don't eat meat, so their bean burger is, in my opinion, one of the best that I've ever had. And my husband swears by their duck wings. So I really like their menu. I really like the vibe there. And it's really nice. I think both of those places, it's very hard not to bump into someone, which is really nice when you're going out for lunch.
And one of my favorite things about the North Fork, to be honest with you, is bumping into people It really is so fun.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Okay, so we're not going to ask you your favorite when you're at the brewery, because we know the answer to that. But maybe you can use this opportunity to talk a little bit more about what is the Long Island wine country and what is going on for the 50th anniversary celebrations.
Absolutely. So Long Island Wine Country as an organization is a collective of wineries in the region that all work together to amplify and promote Long Island wine and the great wines coming out of the region and the exciting things happening on the East End. So this being the 50th year or 50th anniversary, we have a number of events planned throughout the year. Earlier in the spring, we kicked off with our Long Island Locals campaign, which was a really nice invitation for everyone from Long Island to come out, visit their favorite wineries, as well as maybe somewhere you haven't been yet. Next week on Wednesday, we have a library dinner, 50th anniversary library dinner happening in Manhattan at the Beekman Hotel at Temple Court. We're really excited. It's an excellent lineup of wines. It's a 4-course dinner paired with some library wines, some limited editions. So it's a really great way to kind of get a peek behind the curtain, if you will, at some really large formats and exclusive wines from a variety of wineries across the region. And that opens, it's a dinner plus a reception before the start. So in addition to the wines being poured at the dinner, you also have the opportunity to taste a wide variety of other producers from the region.
And it's also a very cool spot in Manhattan. So if you haven't been, great opportunity to get
you
there.
still have tickets for those on sale?
We have a couple tickets left. It's going to be, it's an intimate dinner, so it's not a huge group, but we do have a couple of seats left. So definitely recommend grabbing one of those if you're available. And then on August 19th, we are going to have our grand celebration of the 50th anniversary, which is going to be held at Peconic Bay Vineyards. The event is going to start at 5 p.m. and we do have early bird tickets on sale now. They just went on sale earlier this week. And that is going to be a grand celebration. It's going to have the vast majority of the wineries on the North Fork that will be participating. We're going to have some really exciting local food pairings. It's going to be a slightly different style of wine event than a lot of the ones that you've seen in the past. So it's not going to be, Suhru Wines table, a Sparkling Point table, a Chronicle Wines table. The wines are going to be really grouped by style. So a little bit different, really showcasing the breadth of the region and how each of those different styles pair with local produce, local seafood, local poultry. So really, really, really interesting, I think, model for the event. And there's going to be some really great food and wine pairings happening there.
So may I throw in a suggestion or a question, I guess? Is there going to be an area or a grouping of alcohol removed wines? I know there are a couple of local vineyards doing that, and some of us may be interested in that. Right? Just to throw that out there. I know there are a few, not too many, but there are a few local ones available. Right, Tracy? Have you tried any of the local ones? I know there's one, I think. But if there isn't, maybe this is a, something to throw
maybe I need to open that. Add it to my many businesses.
You're gonna need Mr. Hearn to come help you, because everybody can help you.
I was actually going to ask about the dinner. Are there non-alcoholic options? I mean, I know it's a wine pairing dinner, but for someone who wanted to go because they're interested in the council and just a dinner experience, are there non-alcoholic options for people?
To be perfectly honest, it's not something that we had considered, but it's definitely something to talk about. I will say, if you're interested in attending the dinner but not interested in the wine, send me an email and I think we can make that happen.
I also saw you have something coming up in Cutchogue is it at the Village Green or something? I thought there was something from the Long Island wine country.
So the Cutchogue Historical Society is doing a fundraiser in partnership with the North Fork Promotions Council, where a number of the wineries are going to be participating. So that is early July on Thursday the 13th. So that will be, it is not directly a Long Island wine country event, but a number of Long Island wineries are participating. And that is going to be a really great event. They have Sound Symphony participating. So there's going to be some really beautiful live music, a tasting, some nice food pairings, a really great way to support the Cutchogue Historical Society.
So a lot of stuff coming up as a collaborative and of course for individual vineyards. Sunrise or sunset? What do you catch either from the tasting room or where you live?
Yes, I am a sunrise person, but I very rarely see the sunrise.
I hear ya.
So I try really hard at least once a summer to fully watch the sunrise. But I love watching the sunset. I tend to, my favorite place tends to be coming home after a long day of work and just sitting in my backyard with my puppy running around and having a glass of wine. But on the North Fork, if I'm, cutting a little bit close, I tend to, particularly because we're so close to New Suffolk at the tasting room, I love going down to the New Suffolk waterfront, particularly on Wednesdays when the sailboat race is happening. My dad races every Wednesday, so it's a really fun thing to go down to the water and pick out which boat is theirs and how they're doing in the lineup that week.
You have to let us know the next time you're going to do that, because I really want to go and I want to take Tilly. So I need motivation for someone to say, meet me there.
It's such a fun community, and I'll meet you there any Wednesday, as long as the weather, as long as the app doesn't say it's going to rain.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
That's great.
Okay, so if you're going to cook at home, what farm stands are you hitting at?
Oh, sure. So I am, again, a little bit spoiled given that we are straight across from Wickham's. I tend to run across the street from the tasting room pretty often. I love their asparagus. They have a really great selection of local cheeses. The fruit and the produce is wonderful. They have, I stock up every year on rhubarb when it
and
hits
donuts.
I was going to say,
donuts.
Talk about it, but not talk about the apple cider donuts.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they purposefully bake those donuts when they know we're going to be outside, because particularly in the fall, it's when we're opening and when we're doing all the opening procedures, they have the fresh baked donuts going, and I'm convinced they set up a fan and blow it directly over to the tasting room.
I'm trying to figure out is if I stop there and only buy the donuts, does it still count as that I made a farm stand purchase? I have no idea. I first I buy the donuts, then I see what else is there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're great stand. And I don't know how you survive, live, so close to them every day. I would cross the street every day and be getting something.
There are plenty of weeks where I do. So.
Well,
Kelly.
Well, I keep trying to put it on mute until you go. So we have reached our expiration date here. So, Sunita, I'll let you close the show.
Yes. So can you wait, we lost Tracy. Can you sum up for us in a sentence or two why you love being part of the North Fork community?
Absolutely. I mean, I think really community in and of itself is really what it is for me. I grew up off the North Fork, but spending a lot of time on the North Fork with my father being a winemaker out here. And even though I did not grow up on the North Fork per se, North Fork has always been home. It feels like home. It feels like, the home community. Everyone is so welcoming. The food is great. Everywhere you look, there's something beautiful to see. It's just a really nice, relaxing environment. And I love that every time you go to the grocery store, you see someone every time you walk down the street, there's someone to say hi to. It's just everything that you want home in your community to be, in my opinion.
I couldn't resonate more with you if I tried. I mean, I think, and me too, as a fairly recent transplant, it's only been a few years. And Tracy and I have talked about this before. When you first move here and you don't really know anybody, you feel like you're totally from the outside. But the first time that you run into someone on the street, or the second time, and then obviously thanks to us doing the show, we've kind of know by face and have talked to so many people. And that's why week after week, watching the collaborations between everybody just makes this community, the entire North Fork community, because it's not a singular town. It's not Southold versus Greenport versus Aquabog. It's a whole stretch of towns that are a community together, and it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Someone is asking a question of where can they buy tickets for the dinner next week?
Oh, absolutely. If you go to liwines.com and click on the 50th anniversary link at the top, it'll take you right to a listing for both the dinner and the grand event in August. So tickets for both are currently available.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelby, for being on, and thank you to the entire family, for being part of the North Fork community and making the delicious wines for us.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. So nice chatting with you.
Bye, Tilly. Bye, Tracy. I guess Tilly hung up on us. So, so we'll just wait. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and we will see you next Friday. Bye.
Bye-bye.